Welcome to Chalkboards to Cash Flow, the podcast for educators and everyday professionals who want to build wealth through real estate without quitting their day job. I'm your host, Michelle, a full-time teacher who started investing in real estate to create more freedom, more security, and a better future for my family. If you've ever felt like your paycheck isn't enough or wondered if someone like you could really invest in property, this show is for you. Each week, we break down real stories, practical tips, and strategies to help you take that first step, even if you're starting small. Let's build something better together. Hi, welcome back to Chalkboards to Cash Flow, where we spotlight teachers and other educators building wealth through real estate one door at a time. Today, I'm joined by Cari, a full-time educator who owns a duplex that she's rented both long-term and short-term. We're going to dive into how she's got started, how she balances real estate with teaching, and her advice for other educators ready to take the first step. Welcome, Cari.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I am a teacher. I've been a teacher for about 15 years. We work together. I am an intervention teacher. Specifically, I teach reading at a K through 3 school. And I also own a duplex, as you mentioned.
Exciting. Okay. What inspired you to start investing in real estate?
So I was always fascinated with properties, open houses. I loved real estate in general. And it was important to me to own a house. And so I had that goal by the time I was 30. I bought my first house, but I wasn't considering investment until probably later in my 30s. And then I just kind of started to realize that that is a way to build wealth. And so I thought that when I bought my next house, I would look for a duplex, and it ended up working out.
That's awesome. You're also a realtor, aren't you?
I am, yes.
That's
so
right.
I did get my license. It's been almost 3 years now.
Wow, that's exciting. Okay, let's talk about the duplex.
Okay.
Give us the story. Where it is.
Yeah.
When did you buy it, and what made you choose the property?
So it kind of came to me. I was looking to move to Auburn, California, which is where it is. I have family up there. I had kind of fallen in love with the area, but I was also looking at land. I thought I would end up somewhere out with property, maybe with another unit that my mom could live in eventually. But I had this idea that a duplex would be a good investment. And only about 3 came up in the year that I was looking in Auburn. And prices had just been going up and up. And I had decided to stop looking. It was right at the beginning of COVID. And I thought prices have to come down. I need to turn off the searches. And it was that first week, I think, that I was home as a teacher because we all got sent home. And this duplex came on, and on one of the searches I hadn't turned off yet. And I was able to schedule a showing on a Tuesday when I normally would have been teaching. I put an offer in that night, and they accepted it the next morning. And so I had myself a duplex.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Now, did you live in it at that time, or did you have your other house?
So I was living at a house about half an hour away down more towards the Sacramento area. And so I was first planning to hold on to that house because I was trying to, build the amount of properties that I had. Because it was COVID, I was not able to get into the lower unit of the duplex except for a very quick walkthrough. So I knew some work was going to be done, but I didn't know exactly the extent when I bought it. So I actually purchased the house using a HELOC that I had on my primary residence that I was living in at the time, and I moved. And then the tenants were there for a few months. And then when they left, I realized the extent of work that was going to need to be done downstairs. So I went ahead and sold the other house I had been living in and was able to use some of that equity towards getting the lower unit fixed up.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay. So then you were working on it for a while. Was the upper portion rented?
No. So the upper portion is I moved into that.
Okay.
I bought it and I moved in. And my mom and I primarily did some remodeling. So she and I remodeled the bathroom entirely and then the kitchen somewhat. And I lived up there for, I think it was about 1.5 years, 2 years. And the upstairs unit is a 2-bedroom, 1 bath, about just under 1,200 square feet. It has a detached single car garage.
Nice.
Yeah.
And what's the downstairs unit?
Downstairs is about 650 square feet. It's a 1-bedroom, 1 bath with an attached 1-car garage.
Okay, very nice. So you were house hacking.
Yes, I learned that's what it was called.
I know, it's a new term, house hacking. Okay, good. So when did you start renting it out?
Yes.
Is it currently rented out?
So I started with an Airbnb.
Okay.
And it took about 3 months. Once the tenants who had been in there left, I spent about 3 months doing renovations. We were down to the studs in a lot of places. So renovated the entire downstairs unit. And then because it was such close proximity and living, I was really curious about the Airbnb model. And also, I just thought it might be nice to have a little more control rather than having someone permanently downstairs, both in terms of like noise considerations, or I like the idea of having the downstairs unit available if family came to visit, that I, could keep a weekend free and have family come stay down there. So I just thought, well, this is the time to try it. And so I set it all up. I had so much support. So many people donated things. Just kind of things came together. And I initially had that as an Airbnb, and it took off right away, and it made plenty of money to cover what I needed for the mortgage.
That's awesome.
And then I realized after about a year of that a 2-bedroom is actually more profitable when I just started kind of looking at numbers. And so then I flipped and I moved downstairs and I rented out the upstairs as an Airbnb. And that was about a year. Okay. And then the market really slowed down for a few months there. And I was getting nervous that maybe the Airbnb market was shifting. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, I had a friend who was interested in moving in. And so I just made the decision and I switched to long-term rental. And that's been almost 3 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, since she's been in there.
That's nice.
Yeah.
So you're getting enough cash flow to help out your mortgage?
I am, yes. Okay, and there's more than what covers the mortgage. So the downstairs unit made about what I make now, because I also have the lower unit rented out and I'm living elsewhere now. So as an Airbnb, that was about comparable. The upstairs unit, I made probably $300 to $500 more a month than I do now, having a long-term tenant. But there was also the management that was involved. And so that was kind of a trade-off that I was willing to make at that time.
Do you think it's easier to do Airbnb or easier to do the long-term rental?
Well, it probably depends on your tenant.
Yes.
I have been so fortunate. So as of right now, definitely easier to do having long-term tenants there. I mean, as we were just talking about before the podcast, the things are going to come up that still come up. The HVAC just went out for the upstairs unit, right? There's still the calls for repairs. But with the Airbnb, that was regular communication through messaging and managing the cleaners and the supplies, right? So it was just a lot more ongoing management. Even though it was doable, it's nice to have kind of
not as much
ongoing communication.
Daily communication. Yeah, I agree. I like how you started, though. That was perfect. What did you learn from that first deal that other teachers should know about?
From the duplex? The purchase of the duplex. So I guess for teachers specifically, summer is an amazing time to be able, if you're going to be doing any of your own renovations, if you're able to time the purchase of a house that you plan to do renovations on, or just need to get set up if you're going to do short term. Or even now, if I have turnover of a tenant in the summer, it's so much better than if it happens in the middle of the school year, right? So if you're able to time, you're looking and you're purchasing a property with giving yourself some of the summertime to get set up and going, I think that's really, really helpful.
Right.
And a great opportunity for summer. I don't know, like specifically for teachers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's good. And it sounds like it's a lot less communication with the long term than the short term.
Yeah. And so like for me, I would sometimes be on lunch break and all of a sudden have a tenant reach out because they needed something, and I'd have to be texting really quickly during my full-time job, whenever I could squeeze it in. So that's just a consideration if you're a teacher and you're considering a short-term rental to maybe have someone help you manage that or just be aware that that's going to be part of your day-to-day.
Yes. And I have short-term rentals now. And it is a lot of communication, but I have some property management systems that help with that. So I'm not doing daily communication, but I do check in. So what are your plans now? What are you thinking you're going to do from here on out? Keep the rentals, keep them long-term for a while?
Yes, that is my goal, especially, there are times that I get so overwhelmed. I'm single, so I do it all myself, which can be really overwhelming sometimes. And so there are those times that I think I can't do this anymore. I'm just going to sell. I don't want the stress of management. But really, I did buy when interest rates were really low. And so it wouldn't make any sense. And also it's just gives me kind of some hope in my retirement that there'll be some cushion there.
Yeah.
So you never know where life will take you. But right now, I would really like to hold on to it long term. I thought around the time that I bought it, I kind of had this plan. I was listening to a lot of podcasts and I wanted to become a real estate investor. And so I thought I would continue to acquire properties. And that hasn't happened, although I have been making some connections recently.
Yes.
So we'll see. I do love the idea of continuing to invest if I'm able, but right now I don't have any immediate plans for that.
Okay, good to know. And then just at the end, we do some kind of just quick questions. Is there a real estate book that you read that inspired you or not really?
No, I think the only podcast that I was really listening to a lot was Bigger Pockets.
Okay, yes.
At the time. And I know there were a lot of resources that I got from them that I can't remember now, but I had spreadsheets that I, got from them and I was crunching numbers and kind of trying to figure out next steps. And they had a ton of helpful resources.
And then I know Bigger Pockets has they have like where they can vet your renters. I don't know. I know there's something they have now. I don't know what it is. Where they can you can enter stuff in and I forget what it's called.
Really
Is it Rent Ready?
I've used various programs.
What are you using?
I can't tell you right now.
I know.
Go back and look. Also, with my real estate license now, I have access to the California Association of Realtors forms. And so I do rely on those for some of my application and screening process. I tend to just do it all manually myself. So I know there's a better way to do those things. So maybe I should go back and listen.
And look and listen. I know they have something new.
Okay. All right. I'll check it out.
Thank you for sharing your story and coming on it. You are actually my first guest. So this was the first time for both of us to be on a podcast interviewing. So thank you for doing that. If this inspired you, please follow us at Chalkboards to Cashflow or join the Facebook group, Chalkboards to Cashflow Community. We're building a movement of educators who are thinking about their financial futures, one property at a time. Thank you. Bye-bye. Thanks for listening to Chalkboards to Cashflow, where we turn real estate dreams into real-life wins for teachers and everyday investors. If this episode helped you feel a little more confident or inspired, make sure to follow, leave a review, and share with a friend. And don't forget to join our free Facebook group, Chalkboards to Cashflow, where we support each other every step of the way. Until next time, keep learning and keep growing. And remember, you don't need to be rich to start. You just need to start.